Shabbat Shalom, family. I just got a really quick teaching this afternoon rather. I was up at Old Dark 30 this morning and I was watching a video on YouTube, and the sister was actually talking about the daughters of Zion, or black women in general, being very careful once they accrue certain amounts of wealth or house or whatever, property or whatever, right? And so as she was talking about this, I was thinking about what the title of a teaching that the Most High given me, and he actually told me to go to a woman at the well. And that's John 4, verses 13 through 18 specifically. And as I was listening to this sister talk this morning, talking about, getting to know the tenant laws in your state, if you were living with a man, or if someone was having mail come to your house and all this stuff, right? And I was thinking, that's wise. I mean, she's talking about how a lot of us sisters are in relationships with men, but we're not actually their wives, or they're our boyfriends, or they're our living, or we've been together for years, or whatever, but we haven't taken that matrimonial step, right? And she was talking about ensuring that if you have property and this man moves into your apartment with you, or he moves into your home with you, and you guys are living together unmarried, the legalities of that, the legal ramifications, if you were to, for one thing, allow a person to get on your deed, or allow a person to get on your lease with you, right? And you could be the primary, but they could be on your lease. And the problems that would create for sisters should a relationship dissolve, right? And the rights of a person that's living with you long term, having mail come to your house, etc., etc. So she was going through that, and I thought, okay, that's wise counsel, right? But I kept remembering the woman at the well, because Most High had given me that teaching a couple of weeks ago, and so I never did it, of course, but now I'm doing it now. So basically, I'm just going to read John 4, chapter 4, verses 1 through 13, I think it is. No, 1 through 18. So let's go ahead and get into it. So this is Jesus and the woman of Samaria. So when therefore the Lord knew how the Pharisees had heard that Jesus, or Yahawashai, made and baptized more disciples than John, though Jesus himself, or Yahawashai himself, baptized not, but his disciples, he left Judea and departed again into Galilee, and he must needs go through Samaria. Then cometh he to a city in Samaria, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well, and it was about the 6th hour. Then cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Jesus said unto her, or Yahawashai said unto her, Give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Then said the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with Samaritans. And then Yahawashai answered and said unto her, If thou knewest the gift of Elohim, and who it is that saith to thee, Give me to drink, thou wouldest have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. The woman said unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water? Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, his children, and his cattle? Jesus answered, or Yahawashai answered and said unto her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst again. But the water that I shall give him shall be in a well of water springing up into everlasting life. The woman said unto him, Sir, give me this water, that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. And Yahawashai said unto her, Go, call thy husband, and come hither. Now this is what I want you to listen to closely, daughters of Zion. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Yahawashai said unto her, Thou hast said, well said, I have no husband. For thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband. And that sayest thou truly. So this is the part I want to focus on, daughters of Zion, sisters, is that he was offering her salvation, which was his mission, right? And But before he could offer it to her, he called out her sin straight away as he could, because he knows all, right? So he tells her, he says, go get your husband. She's asking for this water, right? She's asking for salvation. He tells her, he says, well, go get your husband, you know? And she didn't lie. She said, I don't have a husband. He says to her in verse 16, Yahawashai said unto her, go, call thy husband and come hither. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. And Yahawashai said unto her, thou hast well said, I have no husband. So he's calling out her sin, right? She's asking for this water. She's asking for this salvation. But there's something we must do as daughters of Zion, as Israel, as children of God, right? Of Yah. We have to repent. We have to repent. We have to do a 180 and stop living a life that is contrary to the word of Yah. So Yahawashai was just calling out her sin right there. There's something that, she must do in order to inherit everlasting life. In order for this water that he's offering her to be, as he said it here, water springing up into everlasting life, which is verse 14. So I'll read it. It says, but whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. And so what I want us to focus on, sisters, is how we're living right now. And I know, right, that this was over 2,000 years ago. This applies to us right now here in the 21st century. This applies to some of us are young enough to have a grandmother that this applies to, that's still living, right? Our mother, a sister, a aunt, a niece, a friend, a girlfriend, a co-worker. And we can look at our relationships and talk. We talk amongst ourselves all the time. We talk about the men that are in our life, or the man that's in our life, or the men that have been in our lives. And those men that have been in our lives, including the man that's in our lives now, that's not our husband, is equivalent to what he said to her. You have had 5 husbands. He says it here. Let me go to the verse he says right here. And he said here in verse 16, and Yahawashai said unto her, go, call thy husband, and come hither. And the woman answered and said, I have no husband. And Yahawashai said unto her, thou hast well said, I have no husband, for thou hast had 5 husbands. So let's look at those 5 husbands. These are the boyfriends. Even if we were in 5, 10, 15, 20-year relationships with these men and they weren't our husbands, right? We were fornicating. Some of us have been committing adultery. We've dated men that we either didn't know they were married or we knew they were married. But I think the best part about this is us actually looking at ourselves, right? Looking at this 21st century woman, or that late 20th century woman. And when we start dating, we can look at, for the last 60 years, right? There's been this dating standard, this female-male relationship standard that has governed how we, the daughters of Zion, the men and women of Israel, African Americans, whatever, black people, however you want to, frame it, how we've lived here in this land of our captivity, and how we're living in a diaspora all over the place, right? And how we've been taught to live a way that that's actually contrary to Scripture. Well, Yah has simply and clearly laid out in Scripture, how we're supposed to live. The way a woman and a man are supposed to have a relationship. So actually, I'm just sounding the alarm to the daughters of Zion, to the women in the black community, to consider applying John 4, starting in verses 1 through 18, but specifically in verse 14 through 18, and look at yourself in your life. And so I'm saying we need to set aside the culture that we've been raised in, the dating culture, that of fornication and adultery of the last 60 plus years, and consider abstaining from relationships outside of marriage with men. And in doing so, we will be safeguarding our souls, our daughters' souls, our friends' souls, right? Where we will spend eternity. So we're going to safeguard it. We're going to, you know, we're going to store up our treasures, in heaven instead of here on the earth. We're going to store them up in heaven by being obedient to the word of Yah, by, abstaining from fornication, abstaining from adultery. And I know in this late 20th century to 21st century, we have not been taught in our culture, in our neighborhoods, in our community on how to properly negotiate a relationship with a person of man, right? The opposite sex, right? Because we've been taught it's okay to date, it's okay to have premarital sex, it's okay to have, 2 or 3 partners a year, it's okay to have children out of wedlock, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And so I think the guardians of our chastity, the guardians of the sanctity of our bodies, the guardian of the way we negotiate and we deal with men, it starts with us. Because we know, the culture has already brainwashed men and women to, negotiate in a 3-month period. First it was 3 dates, then it was 3 months, then it was 6 months, and it's all these, before you should engage in sexual intercourse with someone. But the truth be told is that we have a biblical mandate that commands us to not fornicate, to not commit adultery, to not live a divergent lifestyles that have been dictated by this world, this carnal world, and we've just fallen right into the trap. So basically, I'm not going to, keep going on and on about the same thing over and over. But all I'm saying is that we have a responsibility to ourselves, to our daughters, and to our sons, to teach them the proper way to engage in a relationship with the opposite sex, and specifically those that are not in our families, right? That aren't our cousins and uncles and nieces and sisters and brothers, but people that are outside of our family. And I think until we as women, daughters of Zion, we hold the key to re-establishing what dating is, what courting is, what's a proper relationship between a man and a woman, when should a man have access to your physical body, what are the standards by which we negotiate a relationship with someone of the opposite sex. And I know that society has told us, and the men have tricked us and told us they loved us, and they've gotten the goods, and they've stuck around for 90 days, for 6 months, for a year and a half, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and they've never made us their wives. We've had children with them. They've had total access to our bodies. They've had total access to our wealth, our finances, our spiritual life. They've been incorporated into our immediate families. They are like a piece of furniture in our lives, but they have not committed to us. So we are living a life that's contrary to the way Scripture has defined a relationship between a man and a woman, and that is through marriage. We are to have sexual relationships with a man, and a man is to have sexual relationships with a woman that is his wife, and that is his wife, and he is her husband. So we have a biblical mandate on how we negotiate these relationships, and I just wanted to bring it to our attention because over 2,500 years ago, with this woman at the well, this Sumerian woman at the well, when Yahawashai had met at the well, right, he pointed out to her that he saw her sin. He saw her husbands. He saw the relationship she was currently in that was not her husband. And that rang like huge to me. That rang out to me. And I just thought I would share that revelation because it's something that we need to take a look at in our lives when we're having a relationship with the Most High, receiving our salvation through Yahawashai. We call ourselves, awakened, or we're part of this awakening, this worldwide awakening of our nation, right? And here we are, sitting in assemblies, being part of camps where there are multiple wives and, having these so-called marriage contracts. Are they actually legal marriage contracts? Are you actually marrying? Is your marriage recognized by the state, or is it actually a legal a legal contract that is between you and your mate in front of Yah? So we have to look at all these things, and then we have to abstain from these behaviors. And if we abstain from these behaviors, then we force the men in our community to abstain from them as well. At least abstain from a type of relationship that's outside of Torah, outside of the scripture, when it concerning a man and a woman. Like I said, I just wanted to bring this to your attention, and I know it's not something that's going to be easy for us to do, because we're in this world, we're already here, but tomorrow is a new day. We're going to have daughters, we're going to have sons, and then we are responsible for teaching them correctly. So I just wanted to bring that out today, and I love you. Shabbat Shalom.